So far, we've had a lovely, mild autumn, but as Lucy keeps promising, winter will soon be upon us. And in fact, last winter was particularly harsh with heavy snow across much of the region, and it carried on as late as March.
As we remember. And as the nights grow longer, Callum Watkinson has been taking a look at how some of you are getting ready for the chilly days ahead.
In the village of Shobden in Herefordshire, thermometers recorded the West Midlands' lowest temperature last winter, south of -9 one night in January. For farmer Geoff Roberts, early snow might mean he can't pick his apples, early frost might ruin his wheat. But it's his herd of 200 calves that is most on his mind as the leaves start turning brown.
The cold winters we had last year and we had 2 years ago, and they were a shock to the system because we hadn't had one for quite some time. Freezing temperatures give us lots of challenges. Water is a critical one. We've got to make sure they've got fresh water in front of them 24 hours a day. In terms of the nutrients, well, we've got to make sure we have the right feed here on farm, ready for when they require it. So we've got to maintain the roads, and obviously in a rural location, maintaining the roads is not always a straightforward thing to be done.
It's 7 miles to the nearest supermarket and there are just 2 buses a day at the best of times. In places like Shobden, when the snow begins to fall, they've learned to watch out for each other.
The parish tends to pull together when we do have bad weather. We've got a self-help team with gritting. We were issued some grit by Herefordshire Council, which we keep in store in the parish. And so we grit the footpaths to the elderly so that they can get out, because otherwise they become housebound, and that's not good for them or good for the community.
What brings you round?
I thought I'd just come and see how you are.
Who wants to stand at a bus stop in a howling gale when it's pouring with rain? And you can't be dependent on exactly when the bus is going to appear. Most of one's activities outside are curtailed, and that means just sitting inside and gets boring.
He may be more worried about being stuck indoors than stuck with a large fuel bill. But over in Nottingham, the council is busy insulating social housing against the coming cold.
Fuel bills are one of the things that people notice have gone up way faster than perhaps their pensions or their wages. Sometimes you meet older people who deliberately trying to spend the day out of their house so they're not having to heat it, so trying to go to community buildings like libraries or spend time in the shops.
Hello.
In Royal Leamington Spa, one housing association now employs an energy doctor and a money advisor to ensure tenants get the best tariff from energy companies. As fuel prices continue to rise, they say, many are facing a real dilemma over whether to heat or eat.
Absolutely not a myth. We see it regularly, especially with pensioners, unfortunately. Pensioners tend to be more conscientious and they don't want to fall into arrears, and so they will pay their heating bills as opposed to eating. Obviously it's not something that we want to see, so we're trying to do everything we can to support people in that situation.
You can choose holidays or furnishings, but you can't really choose not to have your utilities like electricity, gas, water. So you are really in a situation where you are at their behest as to how much they're going to charge you. So you need to have the best tariff.
A household is said to be in fuel poverty if its fuel costs are above the national average and it can't meet them without falling below the poverty line. In the West Midlands, 14% of households are in this category, the highest total in the country by region, and many of those affected are elderly. Robin Rogers is confident that he can stay warm, but many across the region, in the towns and in the country, will be praying that winter is short and mild. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.